What up? Welcome back to High Thoughts Podcast with Ashton Carey. Hope everybody's ready for New Year's. I am. I'm already starting it off with some Sailor Jerry spiced rum, 92 proof. It's fucking great. One of my favorite rums out there. Woo! Oh! DUI, baby! Anyways, so how about I saw in New York Times today there is a 180-day disclosure included in the COVID-19 relief bill that they just signed, which I think is kind of crazy. Like, they're definitely trying not to make that a big deal because nobody's going to read the whole bill for COVID-19. Most people are just worried about getting a stimulus check since, I don't know, we've had this virus going on for almost a year and we got one stimulus check. But all the rich people were okay and Wall Street was bailed out and all these big companies were bailed out. But all the people that are the backbone of this country, they don't give a fuck about them. Like me, me, I. They don't care about us. But anyways, hope all you cocksuckers are doing alright. I'm gonna pack this bowl right quick. I watched some stuff on Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia last night again. It was an episode where he was going to this nuclear missile silo that this girl, apparently it used to be like the largest LSD lab, like manufacturing lab in the country, and this crazy chick used to date this dude that like made the LSD and all these other drugs. And basically Hamilton's interviewing her and they go to the lab, and apparently like the guy had got arrested. So it started out, it was him and this other guy, and he set the other guy up and got him arrested, and then him and the girl that's on the show, they just dip, and they're fucking going to all these different states and getting fucked up on LSD and selling MDMA. And so he's a fucking snitch. He set this dude up. This dude goes to prison. He's like, hey, I have the biggest fucking LSD manufacturer in the country. You guys can come and get him. So he dips with this girl. Well, she's traveling with him, and apparently, like, even though they're fucking, they also have other boyfriends and other girlfriends. And she's dating this other guy. And so her and the other guy come up with the idea that they're going to turn Todd, this guy, in. Well, they go to the FBI and they tell them, and they basically just kind of, all right, we'll get to it, and don't do shit about it. And then the next day, Todd finds out that they went to the FBI, and they fucking take them to I can't remember what town it was in, but it was a fucking DoubleTree, and they take that guy and the girl, they tie him up and inject him with all these different hallucinogens and fucking Valium and Xanax and all types of shit, IV. DMT IV, which is fucking crazy. I've never even heard of people doing DMT IV. But so they're trying to get like a truth serum and figure out all the different things that he told the FBI, this and that. And they're doing the same thing to the girl and raping her and sticking shit up this dude's ass and shit. I just thought it was so crazy. And this girl is just like, I'm still in love with him. Like, what? Like, this bitch is still in love with him. That's almost as crazy as Anthony Bourdain killing himself. Anthony Bourdain had the best job anybody could ever fucking have, and the dude fucking killed himself. I mean, fucking amazing job. Got to travel the world, eat with the finest fucking people in the world, and then just fucking dead. So, I was thinking about a story the other day. So, when this is how fucked up some of my family is, man. So, let me think. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. Fuck that. I'm not talking about that. All right, so I'll save that for another time. So, let's get to a story of my life. When my dad passed away when I was 16. He died in a motorcycle accident. It was not kind of, but we weren't expecting it. And so when he died, I was just starting to smoke weed and drink. I kind of started later than some of my friends. I mean, I was smoking at like 15, 14, 16. Well, so when he died, I just fucking lost it, dude. Like, I was like, I'm gonna do every drug I can get my hands on. I'm gonna party till my fucking nuts fall off. Party till I fucking die. And that's how I felt. I felt like, fuck it. Like I don't have nothing to live for. And so I was living in Greenville, North Carolina, where ECU's at. And every Friday when I would get out of school, even though I was hanging out with people in Greenville that were my age, every Friday at like 4 o'clock, I'd go to Virginia. And I had a bunch of money from when my dad died, so I was spending it all on partying, which I wish I wouldn't have. And so I go down every Friday to Virginia, and I would bring like $500 with me. And my uncle, the one that I talked about in the last episode, me and him aren't really cool anymore. We used to be back when my dad died. But I was going up to Virginia every weekend partying with him and his friends. And well, they were all older than me. They were all like 25 and up. Like, I hung out with one person that was my age when I was like 16, 17, and that was this girl, Kendra. And she was my age. And she would go to all the parties with me. But the crazy shit is all these people that were like fucking full grown adults, 25 to fucking 40, were throwing house parties like every day to every other day to almost every day of the week. And I'm talking about not no fucking bullshit 30 people in your house party. I'm talking about they would have two DJs at the house that they were all trapping out of. They have two DJs. That we had a fucking pool in the backyard, a hot tub, a full basketball court, and there'd be like fucking 400 people in the house. Alright, so I'm 16, and I'm partying like this, like I've never seen anybody party in my life. And I got introduced to cocaine, like at the first party. I started doing coke. Started doing Molly very early. MDMA, ecstasy, same thing. But yeah, I got introduced to all that shit and was just getting it like nothing at all these parties. And I was doing this every fucking weekend while I was in high school. I'm talking about every Friday. Fucking 4 o'clock comes around. I'm getting in the fucking car, packing my bags. Let's go. We're going to Virginia. And I wouldn't get back until like, I wouldn't drive back till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning before I went to school. I was still going to school. Later on is when I started saying fuck it and not going. But so I would come back to school, and most of the time I'd spend all my money on fucking drugs and partying and be broke and not have any gas money to get back. So I'd like fucking wing it and come back with no fucking gas. Like, there was a couple of different times that I broke down on the way home and I had to push my car. There was a graveyard near my house. And I had to push because it was quicker to go through the graveyard than go all the way up and take a right at this light. So I had to fucking push my car through that graveyard and then push over a train track and then go down into my neighborhood. And I mean, this had to have happened like a good 10 times maybe. And, excuse me. So I was going up to all these parties and shit, and of course back then I wanted to be a fucking rapper because all my friends that were up there were rapping, and everybody I hung out with sold drugs, and everybody had guns, and we were in the hood with a bunch of hood ass dudes. I mean, I was hanging out in fucking projects. Like, I mean, I really was in the trenches. Like, where I'm from, Portsmouth, Virginia, it's the fucking hood. And, like, I mean, today, I guarantee you somebody got robbed at 3 in the afternoon at a stoplight. I mean, it happens every day. But, so, so I'm partying with all these guys, and as the years go on, I end up going to rehab. And this is the first time I went to rehab. I went to rehab 2 different times for 6 months apiece. The first time I was 18. So I'd already been partying with all these guys for a couple years. And I mean, they were in some deep shit. Like, there was a couple times where I would drive up there and everybody, like, I would knock on the house, like, knock on the door of the house, and I'd see people like fucking mice scurrying around the house. Like, I mean, literally, all the lights are off, and I just see people running around, like, hiding. And then they realize it's me, and they're like, dude, the fucking feds were just here. Like, they're in some deep shit. I mean, some real deep shit. Like, I tell people about this shit. Like, and what was so fucked up, I would go back to school on Monday and tell people, like, yo, like, we got it the fuck down this weekend. And they're like, bullshit, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I'm still on fucking Molly, like, in school. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, I know what the fuck I did this weekend. Go fuck yourself. And, but I mean, literally, I'd pull up and I'd go inside once they finally let me in after I've been out there for an hour. And I thought nobody was there. And there'd be fucking 20 people up in the attic, like, waiting for the fucking feds to go away. Like, I mean, it started getting serious, dude. Like, so years went by. I was in rehab at 18. Fucking my mom comes to visit me, and she knows all the shit I was doing up there. Like, I mean, she knew I was doing drugs and shit. But I mean, shit happens when somebody dies. You deal with it your own fucking way. And if you got a problem with that, then go fuck yourself. But so my my mom comes and visits me, and she's like, "Oh my god, you got to see this." I'm like, "Okay." So she shows me on her phone because we don't have phones. The rehab I was in, you don't see news, you don't have phones, and it was in North Carolina, so I wouldn't see shit about where I'm from in Portsmouth. And shout out to Patton Oswalt. He's from Portsmouth too. Only other comedian from Portsmouth. Shout out, homie. Missy Elliott's from Portsmouth too. But anyways, so she shows me an article, and it says 26 gangster disciple members arrested in drug bust. Bro, when I tell you I knew every motherfucker in that bus, I knew every motherfucker in that bus. And it was 150 felonies total out of all these dudes that I was chilling with on a daily fucking basis. Now tell me that ain't fucking luck that I won't in fucking rehab when that shit went down, dude. I didn't get locked up. Nobody ever asked me questions. I was in North Carolina, home safe. You dig? Whoa! That's our traditional whoa after we hit a bowl. Let me turn this lighting down a little bit. Still good, right? Yeah, it's still good. But yeah, man, like back then was just crazy, man. Like I look back on those days and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, how did I not get caught up in all this bullshit? Like, I mean, there were plenty of times that I could have been in trouble, like, and it didn't happen. And I guess that's because I'm white privilege. But we were around a lot of black people, and they never got locked up either. I mean, a couple did. I mean, in the end, yeah, a lot got locked up. But in that bus, I mean, some of them were white boys. So, I mean, you know, a lot of people try to say that white people can't be gangster disciples, but I know plenty of them. White people can't be black disciples, not gangster disciples. You can be a GD. And you would never look at me and be like, that dude hung out with a lot of gang members. I definitely did. Fucking shout out OG Tough Shorty. Real OG right there. If you've been to fucking prison, you know Tough Shorty. So, yeah. But yeah, it was like that every weekend, man. I had a girl one time. She came up to me, and we used to throw these house parties at this place called Holland. Not Holland like Amsterdam. It was a little area in this country ass place called Suffolk. If you've ever been to Suffolk, Virginia, you know what I'm talking about. Hampton Roads. Well, there's a little area called Holland, and there was this house that this old crackhead named Chuck lived at, right? And he used to have house parties. This motherfucking house is like 4 stories, bro. It's like an old fucking country white family owned slaves fucking house. Like, these fucking people own the plantations. Like, that's what it was. And fucking man, we'd have like 500 people out that bitch, dog. Like, I'm talking about, you meet a new fucking person every 30 minutes that you didn't even know was in the house. Like, you go upstairs and you're like, damn, I didn't even know you were here, bro. Like, fucking run into people you had no idea was in the house. Like, fucking police could come and arrest people and still not know there were still people in the house. That's how big this motherfucker was. And that's actually the place I met that girl that I talked about earlier. That's where I met her. And me and her were like messing around, hanging out every weekend. And but man, like, so this dude Chuck, he was selling some type of drugs. I think he was selling Molly, which it was probably meth. And what a lot of people don't know, if you actually sell drugs, especially if you fuck around with selling Molly, you find out every once in a while that it's meth. I mean, it's the same, almost the same chemical compound. But so we would throw parties at this dude's house, and I'm talking about like they were all into the raves and shit, and there'd be people fucking spinning lights and glow sticks and shit, dude. That shit was so lame. Like, I remember thinking it was cool, but now that I look back, I'm like, dude, that shit is so lame. Like, fucking dubstep, like, pew, like, I mean, like, I don't even know why I thought that shit was cool, but like, it was such a weird crowd because you look at rave crowds and you're like, okay, these are a bunch of weirdos. But like our crowd was like hood ass people that wanted to go to raves, that wanted to create their own rave, and that's what it was. Like we knew we knew a couple like dubstep DJs and shit, and there was this group of guys called the Jolly Brothers, and there were these two white twins. They actually went on America's Got Talent. But they would throw a thing called the Glow Show. And it would be like a bunch of DJs and them doing their rap set. But we would throw like the after parties, like after their shows. And so like that's why all these people would come to our fucking parties. It's fucking wild like to think back to it, man. Like I was like 16 fucking partying with all these people. And I mean, they were making money. I'm talking about like they were doing this shit for years before the police actually arrested everybody. I mean, years, bro. Like, I wasn't selling nothing. I was just doing everything. Like, fucking. Like, I got a fucking deviated septum by the time I was like 22. Shit. I mean, that's early to have a deviated septum. Damn, it's already been 22 minutes, dude. But yeah, let me take some of this drink. I don't know if you noticed this painting in my last episode. I painted that. It's pretty cool. I painted it a couple months ago. The rainbow was hard as fuck to do. You get the lines to be straight. That shit was hard as fuck. There you go. That's where I needed that. Right there. Carry on my wayward son. Don't you cry no more. But yeah. That was a fail. I didn't even fucking blow one. But yeah, man, like back then, it was crazy though, like because I was coming back to high school every Monday morning. I mean, I still got cocaine up my nose. Like, I still got dry cocaine on my nose. I still got fucking Molly taste in my mouth because I would fucking parachute the shit. And we started smoking Molly too. That shit was crazy. But yeah, like I would come back to school on Monday and people would be like, bullshit, you didn't do that. You didn't. A girl didn't sit on your hand and tell you that she'd suck your dick for a cap of Molly. Yeah, that happened. That happened. Girl told me that she would suck my dick for $15, basically, because a cap of Molly was $15. She would suck my dick for $15. She was pretty hot too. Pretty fucking hot. She had two sisters. I'm not going to name her name. I'm a gentleman. But yeah, fucking, I'm standing there. This is what the story was going to earlier. I just lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you smoke. But I was standing in that house that we used to throw parties at in Suffolk, and I had my hand sitting on the counter, like I'm just like leaned up against the counter like a homeboy, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what's up, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up, bro? Hey, what's good? What's good? And I'm standing there. This girl sits on my fucking hand, and I was kind of annoyed at first. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck off my hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, that shit hurts. Like, you're making me lose my blood pressure to my fucking hand. And she says, I'll suck your dick for a cup of Molly. Just like that. Hold on. I'll suck your dick for a cup of Molly. Well, that was a little British. I'll suck your dick for a cup of Molly. Not like that. I'll suck your dick for a cup of Molly. Like that. Just like that. Hold on. Just like that. Different? No. Just like that. Let me come into it. Just like that. That was weak. Look at my hair. Look like a fucking bum. You look like a fucking bum. You, Mr. Lebowski, are a loser. Get a job, Lebowski. That's just like your opinion, man. I'm the dude. His dudeness, El Duderino. I'm not the Lebowski. I'm the dude. But anyways, guys, he, she, or they. It's been great. Thank you for coming back to the High Thoughts podcast. We're going to end this motherfucker with finishing this fucking bullpen. Whoa, welcome to High Thoughts Podcast. Now you're motherfucking leaving. See you later. Thank you for coming to the High Thoughts Podcast. Thank you, everybody. Love you guys, and Happy New Year's.